Hello everyone, this is Ether Dragon, and welcome back to another episode of Fire Emblem Heroes. So, we did pretty terrible on offense, pretty terrible on defense, nothing too special here. Wasn't expecting to stay in Vault of Heaven, and we didn't. This week I decided to try out Legendary Corrin on offense, because why the heck not? I had nothing to lose. She was bonus, it's win season. So I figured I would goofball with her, and for the most part, it was pretty much the problems I expected. Nothing too special there. Her main problems are, of course, units she can't counterattack, guard, units that just straight up double her, and her not killing things. But the last one, her not killing things, it wasn't too much of a problem, but it did cost me a couple of matches. But like here, they're just going to even just straight up double Corrin. She was definitely too slow for a lot of matchups, and of course people run Ruptured Sky. So for Corrin, when she has 90 something attack potentially, Ruptured Sky itself takes out like more than half her health or her damage. Of course, if she has damage reduction, which she usually does, then it's okay, but auto-doubling weapons like Reinhardt, not Legendary Leaf this season because it's not water season, but kind of that idea. She can't get damage reduction for at least one of those attacks, which is a problem. But it was mostly a speed issue, and she just couldn't tank everything. I was running Mystic Boost for the funsies. It did come in handy against healers for not taking too much damage, but her base res is so bad that that it wasn't going to work out in our favor. So yeah, it wasn't a very great offense season. I think I kept forgetting to record some matches, but like I lost a double match, I think a single match or something. I lost quite a few matches, and I had to drop like one unit for quite a few maps, because a lot of them are employing the Saros 7-slot strategy, where the 7-slot unit hits end turn so they can get danced. So then you can, like, for example on this map, you can leverage the defense tiles to have a dancer move forward, and then if it's like Duo Sigurd, which is one of the more popular dancers to run for those kind of shenanigans, if they're in range to attack one of the enemy units, which with like Duo Sigurd, he's got pretty large range, so chances are folks are going to fall into that. So someone else can rally, and usually there's Odd Tempest as well, so there's much more mobility. So it just becomes a slaughter fest, because it activates turn 1 pretty much, unless you did what I did in that one episode I did record where I prevented the AI from doing anything further, but it's like I couldn't really do much anyways, and Altina being Altina can't pick up the kill because I forgot she didn't have twin blades for that matchup. It didn't cross my mind that she was going to use twin blades on Duo Peony. I knew she wasn't going to one-shot, but yeah, it was kind of sad. kind of sad, not gonna lie. So not particularly great there. So Corrin just really couldn't handle the healers. There's so many healers and odd recovery as well. Of course, we don't have a whatchamacallit, isolation for light season or Astra season. Oh, I don't, because I don't have bread fuel. But even if I did, there's odd recovery, so like straight up does not matter. That's the thing about odd recovery with all the new shenanigans and tools we've gotten nowadays. It's definitely quite the challenge to deal with them on offense. I know with people using Regan and other popular combinations, you can definitely beat those teams, but the problem is I'm goofballing and only using one strategy, and it happens to also be not a great strategy. Like, Corrin hitting end turn was great for like the more simpler maps where if you have any decent strategy you can win, but it's like in general it wasn't going to end well. And they have the dragon effectiveness, so they're able to pick up the 2-shot, and really they should have clean swept here, but they didn't execute very well, so they're left to have a unit die to Olivia, aka Duo Lin, because they can't. They don't want to leave Duma alive. He's going to annihilate stuff. But yeah, Duo Lin's not going to take 0 damage from Olivia, so kind of a small problem there for her. But yeah, this week on offense, pretty goofball, but I did learn quite a bit about Corrin. Of course, I also wasn't buffing her that much. So she had no bulk. Like at most she was absorbing Dark Shrine, and she has like 30 base res, and I think it was like 40 something defense, maybe close around there. So it's not very good, especially against the res heavy meta. But yeah, pretty normal strategy so far. Just dual in, Chronia advantage sweeping, but you don't even need Chronia because I don't even have Hardy Bearing on that team. It's so bad. But of course it's intentionally made to be bad. Like, but even here, like, this person just did not execute. There's no duo's hindrance. They have dual in and dual Makaya, so they should be able to dish out some damage, but they just do not execute, and that just cost them pretty much. I don't know if they were relying on Bolt Tower or something, but just not very great execution. Like, for example, there's no reason to waste your turn on grabbing the ether structure on the far right side, because you're not going to need it till the end of the match, and you're not going in for a full 1-turn sweep. I know you have 2 dancers, but they kind of are just doing jank things that they really shouldn't be doing. Like, they just run here, which theoretically it's okay, but the problem of course is they just do not execute here. They use their duo skill to pick up 1 kill, which really wasn't worth. I'm gonna be real. It was on Elwood of all units, not even like Legendary Corrin, where you might have some troubles 2-shotting. It was like Corrin can do quite a bit of damage on the counter, and of course now Sonya has free real estate to 1-shot dual Makaya and pick up another kill. So it's super awkward. I don't know what they were trying to do. Maybe they used it on accident, but it's I guess it's totally possible to use it on accident, but I feel like it was just poor execution. But that's just things in a nutshell. But yeah, Corrin definitely would have done a bit better if I actually buffed her, because her speed's definitely lacking. She was consistently getting doubled by a lot of common units. Like, for example, Duo Mia. I can't really hit end turn against Duo Mia because we can't double back, and there's 75% damage reduction. So when Duo Mia has like 50, 60 HP, you're not one-shotting that. you're just not doing that unless you chip them down. But at that point, that's not one-shotting them at full HP. So it's a very jank situation there. But a lot of people, they just did the very simple thing of bringing a unit that Corrin can't counterattack, and then initiating to her with someone else, which is a very simple thing to do. That's the easiest way to get rid of negating Fang issues, but of course, you can't always do that, because you're not always going to bring a unit on offense that can do that. But it's, especially for like Asterisk season, where you don't have isolation, Bride Fume tends to be a pretty popular pick, and worst comes to worst, sometimes it's just nice to have a healer on the team in case the enemy team is like, I don't know, memeing with Duma spam, or there's just lots of chip damage going around. But in general, yeah. Corrin, very nice for single hit tanking, maybe 2-hit tanking, but just in ether raids, even with the bonus stats, you have to do a lot to make her solid. Like, even this Corrin here, 40 res, which is probably like 32 res, or even less, after Dark Shrine, if you don't creep it, and it doesn't look like they're creeping it here either. So it's pretty bad in general. Of course, I wasn't creeping Bright Shrine either for Corrin, so that was really detrimental to her speed. Not much we could do there. But yeah, these replays are just pretty much what you would expect. They don't even need to use Harmonize Altina here. Not gonna lie, pretty sure they could do it with just the regular Altina. Because they brought Brave Lucina. I guess the problem would mostly just be Elwood at that point. But he doesn't have that much. I guess in this case they don't quite have enough attack with Altina, the base one. But yeah, it's super awkward how mad this defense is. Elwood's just being Elwood. He's probably deterring some people from bringing like green carries or whatnot. That's the thing, I just do not know what my defense is spooking folks from using, but I know like by intentional design it's made to be terrible against Vantage because there's not a single hardy bearing. Like they don't even need to take out Elwood there, like they just do that so they can. It's already over just because we don't have any real tanking power on this team. It has nothing to do with like Altina per se. Just her attack stat is already high enough to where you don't even need a special kill. There's just enough support, but it's kind of interesting that running close guard like this, just double close guard. It's not even close guard 3 seal, but I guess? I'm not sure why you would be concerned about that, because in general, if you're going to use your duo skill and you're up against like a hardy bearing melee unit for some reason, I don't think they're going to be one-shotting you. I feel like you should invest into attack, because you can never really have too much attack against actually competent teams. So it's kind of important. But here we have, you know, a pretty stacked offense team. Nothing to see here. This is something I have to think about going down the line, because ever since far save and near save came out, it really opens up offense strategies that can be more flexible, because one of the primary things that, say, cav lines, for example, are why one example of why cav lines, or one reason why cav lines can be so devastating, is because they can apply some pressure on you turn 1, force you to bait turn 1, or if you have too many offense structures up, you can't hide at all. So you have to bait turn 1 or go in turn 1, and that can be an issue for a lot of people. So with the near save and far save skills, on top of like memeing lunge and hit and run and all those stuff, the whole nice thing about it is that you can have a bunch of units clustered together like this, and you know, if there's sudden panic or something, you know, you might not necessarily want to do this, but the idea is you can cluster up with a bunch of units, gain a ton of space, and your weaker units aren't in danger as long as your carry units can carry you with near save and far save like this. I don't think many people can do this necessarily, but you know, you have, because of that, you can cluster up. You can stack a ton of buffs on your units, so they have, like, for example, close guard, distant guard, they even have flame for damage reduction, and of course they can completely specialize from the range they're getting attacked by. So for far save, you run distant defense 7. Like, this is a very extreme example of what someone could probably do. I mean, this isn't even the full capability of what you could do, but it's just like, conceptually, you're not going to see too many people with a full plus 10 team, fully decked out skills like this. So yeah, pretty much Of course, you know, this isn't perfect, but even against like healer teams where you can't counterattack with your if you're not going to run like Null Sea Disrupt on an infantry, you can't even run Far Save on an infantry unit, so you can't, there's no way to counter healers, but it's like even if you do, as long as all your units are clustered together, all you have to do is make sure your main Far Save unit can face tank, and of course the current one that's an iteration is gives +4 attack and res, which is useful against healers, the res in particular. So it's pretty devastating, and there's not really much I can think of how you would directly counter this other than applying too much pressure turn 1 to where you can't cluster your units, or just having units that can straight up obliterate the carries, which, given people can stack stats like this and buffs, I don't know how that would be reasonable without sacrificing your matchups against other strategies. So it's a very interesting thing that I have to think about if I'm actually going to design a try-hard defense. Because there's so many things to consider. It's pretty ridiculous. But the more ridiculous thing is trying to find an offense strategy that can win against a ton of defenses. Because I'm goofballing, realistically, you know, if you're trying to win consistently in Etheridge, you're going to have 5 different offense teams to cover as many possible different defense strategies as possible. You're not going to run a single team expecting to sweep everything, because even the best strategies cannot do that. If there was a strategy that could win against every single map, people would be doing it, and it doesn't exist. There's some offense strategies that have a super high win rate, like you might win 90, 95, close to 100% of your matches, but it's not 100%. But for the people that are, again, tryharding, there's something called escape ladder. So if you do run into that tiny bit of matches where you can't cleanly win, well, you can escape ladder. So it's not too big of a concern in that respect. But here, they just don't have anything for Elwood here, so they have to, like, anything to 1-round KO them, so they have to go with all their units, but of course they can do that because all the other units are gone, but they left Cecilia in range to get murdered by Mirabilis, so Ripperoni's there. But at this point, the match is over, and they're just going to take it at this point. A lot of people taking 1 kill matches or 1 loss matches, which, to be fair, given some of the defenses I've run into this week, I think you know, especially if you don't run escape ladder like me, you'll take those matches where you only drop a unit, because especially if you're running a bonus unit, aka Regan right now, then it's definitely useful to. This is actually a really cool tech, running escape route on a basically completely base racing. The only problem with this is that the only problem is setting it up, because even like a level 1 bolt trap isn't enough. But I guess a level 1 bolt trap with like Duma upheaval chip damage would do it. But yeah, it's a pretty funny to get infinite range on your dances, or whole map coverage, but of course they kind of just wreck it by being in range of healing towers, so here they just use gravity. I don't see a lot of people use gravity on offense too much, but it definitely is pretty useful against a lot of defenses. Not against like every defense, because of course there's stuff like odd recovery and whatnot, harsh command plus, but honestly I wouldn't be terribly concerned about that. Like at this point the match is basically already over. They have the Savage Blow damage to prevent Duma from moving 2 spaces and obliterating someone. Because of that, because of how my slot order is, which is also designed to be absolutely terrible, Duma doesn't even go first here, so He's just absolute ripper. Doesn't move first. But yeah, if he got to attack into Elise, I believe he would. Actually, yeah, I think he would have been able to kill. Yeah, he 2 shots through Miracle. And even like Norn here, she doesn't have solo active, so what is that, like 42? Duma would have maybe 67, so you would do a decent amount of damage. You wouldn't 1-round KO, but it's a bit of damage, and that's really all I could ask for out of Duma, because that's pretty much all he can do other than upheaval, which is quite nice. But yeah, definitely quite the interesting scene. So we have the meme loop here with Corrin, so they have to go in if they want to, if they don't know how the AI works. So they do this, and the problem with this is Regan doesn't quite have enough attack or enough bulk to deal with Corrin here. So even with Elise's help, they still end up dying there. It could have been prevented, of course, but that's how it goes when you don't know how the AI works, because all you have to do there is make sure that Corrin doesn't end up repoing Olivia, and then you can get an overextension. You have gravity, so you can attack Olivia with Elise and call it a day. But yeah, very strange season on defense. And again, here's another example of how people can just win using Altina against this team. Brave Lucina is definitely an important component of getting Altina to be a decent vantage sweeper if you can get her set up, which of course the defense is intentionally designed so you get literally free vantage setup if you want it. And again, this is just to see what strategies people bring against the defense. It's mostly just been what I've expected. Kind of surprised not many people brought end turn against this defense. But then again, when there's vantage, why bother? When you know it's going to work. But yeah, the thing with Brave Lucina is it just allows Altina, except of course against like Elwood, it allows Altina to get a Twin Blades every combat, and her res is pretty decent, so Twin Blades helps her do a lot of extra damage, which definitely helps against the weapon triangle. And of course you can get her attack to a pretty decent level. Like, this is not a too heavily invested Altina. It is plus attack, but you could use trait fruits if you really wanted. But this Altina has, 67, 74, and then 83 from Lucina's skills, and then 86 here from Flower of Plenty. So, pretty solid attack stat. It's not going to 2-shot everything, even with Twin Blades, if you get Twin Blades every combat, but it's definitely close to the point where you can 2-shot anything. I guess maybe if you run into, like, I don't know, lull attack defense, I don't know, Dusel? Could Dusel do it? I think that's how you pronounce his name. The Lance Cav, that's pretty tanky with Obsidian Lance. I don't know how to pronounce his name. But yeah, with that, we're probably going to make top 10k, which I don't really care. Top 6k, top 10k is basically same difference to me. But yeah, on defense for next week, we're gonna roll with the similar layout. We gotta replace Crom with, I don't know, maybe Olivia, or not Olivia, Julia. So the problem is we don't have Hell or Freya, so I'm probably gonna goofball next season, non-vaulted heaven with Corrin again. But this time we're gonna have Kaden, so let's see if she can do some things slightly better with some buffs. But of course Kaden is not the ideal buff bot, because again, Corrin can't counterattack like healers or fire sleep units, and Panic Smoke is pretty prevalent among those units. So things go downhill really fast for Corin whenever she has to deal with that. So I don't imagine we're going to get a perfect season unless we absolutely luck sack on the matchmaker and only get defenses where Corin can hit end turn. But it'll be an experience trying out end turn. It'll be a lot of damage calcs if I want to do it right, which will be interesting. But yeah, Legion's battles here. This is our weakest season. It's when it's not Earth or Water season. So aka we can't abuse blessings for score. Because if we look at the top scores, we're actually not that far off from the top scores. And like we are far off, but like from a pure numbers point of view, we're only 12 points off. And with blessings, like if we had 2 legendary heroes here and two blessed units, we would get a free, and our base score stayed the same, we would just get a free 8 points. So we would have 1038. And you can see we're super close to the top. So it's really at this point a matter of blessings. But at this point we are still relatively stable. Now it's at this point for wind and fire season we are sinking a bit, but that's why we have to consider whether we want to build up wind or fire season. I don't know why I went back in, because that's going to be a problem if we keep going on and on, because we're slowly but surely dropping down in ranks. But going up to tier 21 pretty comfortably. Just had to do random set of 5 matches, and this is what I used for Arena this week. And Duma is actually, well, of course it's because I have the support to make him solid, aka a free reposition, a dancer and stuff, but he's pretty solid, not gonna lie. I was actually kind of surprised what he pulled off this season, because Upheaval, a lot of units don't have any source of healing on Arena defense, so Fell Breath is active. So he was actually able to do a bunch of funny things, like 1 round KO Brave Hectors, because he actually got fast enough to double through some of them. And lots of goofball things. There was a I forget who it was. There's some unit that had 1 cooldown Ruptured Sky. So, and they were green. So Gunthra, Chrom, and Azura couldn't really deal with them. But Duma straight up face tanks a Ruptured Sky when he has 81 attack. It wasn't even with a defense towel. I was like, wow. He lived with 1 HP, so of course totally not rigged, but that was funny. Of course it's Anima season with wind season, so he did have an extra 3 HP. But yeah, that was pretty cool to see Duma actually doing some funny things this season. And while Arena Assault, I don't think we're gonna stay top 1k. I'm not going to bother trying to fish for better scores, because this is slightly above 754 match, and the matchmaker is mostly just giving me 750s to 754s, occasional 756s, and super rarely like a 760 or 762. So it's not really worth my time. If we get it, cool. If we don't, I'm not gonna worry about it. Although I think it breaks my top 1k Arena Assault streak, but I don't care. I'm gonna be real. And speaking of streaks, Mjolnir Strike, we did end up going down to tier 20 during Dark Major, because the cutoff was actually around, it was at least it was at least 854, and I'm pretty sure the cutoff was actually 856, and we were only scoring 850. I ended up giving Sothis Distant Defense 4 just to check out how far I was from dropping. So now at least I have some intel where I have to go if I want to stay in tier 21 Mjolnir Strike every major season, or just every season in general. That's pretty crazy. If that's the case, that means I'm trying to think about why Dark Major would be stronger on scoring than Light Major. I guess it's pretty close. It's comparable. It's 854, 856 for both of them. So Astra and Anima is still straggling behind, but I imagine with Saros, as more people get her to plus 10 and stuff, the Anima season has pretty strong scoring units without needing to use dual skills and whatnot. But anyways, enough rambling. We'll be back when the results drop in. Alright, here we go. Nothing too surprising here. I already checked everything just before the season ended, so I know how everything's gonna go down, but probably just gonna use Legendary Julia over Legendary Corin this season on defense. Just replace Crown with Julia, probably just gonna meme with turn 1 Glacies. Not gonna do anything unless someone decides to hit end turn for some reason, then maybe we can do something. Kinda doubt it. Resonant Battles, doing the usual shenanigans with free to play by the way means, and Arena trivially going back up. I think we're just gonna kick ourselves back down again because there's not really a great bonus unit for us. So we're just gonna bounce like usual. And I did see that we were just outside of top 1k. I think I was like 1 or 2 points shy of the cutoff. When I last checked it, like a couple minutes before the end of the season, 1 point higher was like 5 ranks from dropping or something, so I think it was probably just 1 point off. Feels bad, but at the end of the day, I don't really care too much. We're just out there trying to derp around, and when it's not Earth or water season, we just have to pay the consequences. So, I think that's it. Yep, Mjolnir Strike, we should be comfortably going back in because we're pretty decent on scoring and Anima Major, so we don't have much to worry about there. That's going to be it for this episode. Thanks for watching. As always, this is Ether Dragon, and hope to see you all next time. Bye!